Yoda Narukami encounters a young girl in a veil who declares herself to be Odin. Both he and his friend Ashura Kokuho are skeptical of her and dismiss her claims. Yoda learns that her real name is Hina Sato while trying to convince her to go home. Hina refuses and ends up going to the library with him to study with his childhood friend Kyoko Izanami, and are ultimately kicked out. Yoda reluctantly starts to believe in her abilities after they eat at a ramen shop where Hina correctly identifies the finishing position of a horse race. Hina then offers Yoda her abilities to assist him in wooing Kyoko. This leads him to playing a game of baseball against the high school team and failing in front of Kyoko. Afterwards, Yoda's mother eagerly welcomes Hina to stay at their home, much to Yoda's disbelief. Yoda and Hina arrive at Yoda's house where Hina is welcomed with open arms. While in Yoda's room, Hina plays a video game. The next day, Yoda reveals that Kyoko became an introvert after her mother died. He also reveals how long he has had feelings for her. When Yoda agrees to appear in Sora's movie, Hina decides to write the script so he can woo Kyoko. However, this plan fails. Hina later reveals that Kyoko plans to become a music director. As such, Hina helps Yoda write a song. When Yoda attempts to play the song for Kyoko, he struggles to do so, which leads to her playing it instead. That night, a bruised Sora is brought to the house by her senpai. The next morning, Sora awakens to reveal that Hikari Jingyuji, her senpai, works at her mother's failing ramen shop and she was helping Hikari deal with a loan shark. Hina decides to help out by having Yoda pretend to be Sora's uncle so he acts as a business consultant. He then makes sweeping changes at the shop, which causes it to become a huge success. Meanwhile, a mysterious boy arrives in Japan where he uses his hacking skills to help a mother find her daughter. Back at the shop, Hikari is confronted by the lone shark where Yoda, with Hina's help, defeats him. Afterwards, Hikari reveals that she knew the truth about who Yoda was and she thanks him, Hina and Sora for helping her. Later, the mysterious boy, whose name is Hiroto Suzuki, is working for a company to discover the secret Shuichiro Kurogi, a physicist, is hiding. Hiroto starts his investigation by having the CEO interview Dr. Asama, the co-author of Shuichiro Kurogi's thesis. Meanwhile, Yoda is watching Kako Tengen, a famous lawyer, being interviewed on TV. Later, Hina wins the Mahjong preliminaries online under Yoda's name. She reveals she did this in order to ensure that Yoda meets Kako in person at a Mahjong tournament she is organizing. 2 days later, Yoda heads out to compete in the Libertas Cup while Hina, Kyoko, and Ashura cheer him on. In the waiting room, Yoda meets Kako. Once the match begins, Yoda follows Hina's instructions, which initially has him in last place. However, as the match continues, he starts to make a comeback when he uses unconventional methods, which impresses Kako. As such, Yoda ultimately wins the Libertas Cup. After the match, Kako attempts to seduce Yoda. However, he turns her down, much to her chagrin. When he tells Hina what happened, she is annoyed at the missed opportunity. Kyoko tries to convince her father to visit her mother's grave without success. At the library, Kyoko reveals to Yoda how her father has been a recluse since her mother died. Hina decides to have Yoda get Kyoko's father out of his house. When they arrive there, Yoda finally succeeds when he claims that he needs help buying Kyoko a birthday present. While they are out, they eat at a few restaurants. Afterwards, Kyoko's father reveals that his wife left video messages and he asks Yoda and Hina to not tell Kyoko's about them. Hina later uses Yoda's phone in order to pretend to be Kyoko's mother. During the conversation between Hina and Kyoko, Hina mentions the video messages, which causes Kyoko to rush home. There, she and her father watch them together. When they watch the final message, Kyoko's mother uses her grand magic spell so they can be happy and move forward with their lives, which they agree to do. That night, Kyoko arrives at Yoda's house to thank him. However, he does not confess his feelings, much to Hina's exasperation. Yoda dreams of him and Ashura competing in a high school basketball game. Hina later convinces Yoda to call and invite his friends to a summer festival taking place. While at the festival, they take part in a variety of games, which includes goldfish scooping, shooting galleries, ball tosses, and a haunted house. During this time, Ashura and Yoda reminisce about their friendship. Meanwhile, Hina seemingly gets jealous of Yoda and Kyoko's improving friendship. She walks off where she heads inside a refrigerated truck that closes and drives off. The group realize she is missing and search for her. When Yoda and Ashura find Hina's items on the ground, they learn from another truck driver the direction where the truck is headed. They give chase on Ashura's motorcycle and are ultimately able to get the driver to stop. Once everyone reunites, they watch the fireworks together. Yoda is in his room studying when Hina walks in, saying the world will end in 9 days and Sora has finished the script for her movie. When Yoda reads the script, he enjoys it. He then gathers his friends to help shoot the movie. Once Sora finishes the storyboard, she explains the plot of the movie. On the day the shoot begins, Yoda and Hina play the lead roles. However, the movie runs into several problems. While they are taking a break, Yoda tells Hina how he has enjoyed hanging out with her and he praises her for helping everybody. When the shoot shoot resumes, there are problems with the CG until Hina finally fixes it. Later that night, Yoda teases Hina about how much she enjoyed herself. Meanwhile, Hiroto is still investigating when he finds Kuroge's torn-down house. When he learns the possessions have been sent to a recycling plant, he heads there just in time to grab a picture that has Hina in it. Hina has a dream where she hangs out with her grandfather. While everyone at the set, Yoda wonders what is going to happen once summer ends. When he expresses his concern to his parents, they reveal that Hina is actually the granddaughter of their mentor, and that Hina's father abandoned her. After Yoda has a conversation with Hina about when she became a god, they decide to go meet her father. When they arrive at his house, Hina's father and stepmother, Toshitoku and Isuzu Sato, are shocked when they see Hina in person. While Yoda and Toshitoku are alone, Toshitoku reveals that Hina was born with a debilitating condition known as Logos syndrome, which caused him to abandon her when he realized there was nothing he could do to help her. Once Yoda and Hina leave, Yoda is agitated about the situation. Later that night, Hiroto shows up at Toshitoku's house. While everyone at the set, Hiroto secretly observes Hina and Yoda. He then decides to go home to continue his analysis. At his house, Hiroto makes a shocking discovery. A dream Hiroto has reveals that his abusive parents used his hacking skills to money launder. The next day, Hiroto reports to the CEO his findings of a chip-sized quantum computer Kuroge completed. However, she denies his request to analyze it, much to his frustration. Back at his house, Hiroto uses his skills to find the computer. During his search, he remembers when his parents were murdered. Afterwards, Hiroto tells the CEO that the computer was planted in Hina's head, which explains her miraculous recovery and omniscience. When Hiroto realizes Hina is in trouble, he warns her. As such, she tells everyone that her world will end soon. They are then approached by men in suits. Yoda attempts to run away with Hina. However, she willingly surrenders. After Hina's departure, Yoda attempts to move on with his life. While he is at school, Yoda encounters Hiroto, who claims to be a new transfer student. He then hangs out with Yoda and his friends. Several months later, however, a frustrated Hiroto calls out Yoda for not understanding why he befriended him. Just as he is about to leave, Yoda catches up with him after he realizes Hiroto was recreating the days he spent with Hina. Hiroto reveals that Hina is alive and he knows her location. That night, he takes Yoda to the Yamada Sanatorium where he gives him a false identity as a research assistant that is good for 2 weeks. Inside, Yoda meets Shiba, a visiting researcher, and she takes him to see Hina. There, Shiba reveals that cranial surgery was performed on Hina and she has an extreme fear of men. Seeing Hina's condition agitates Yoda. At the Yamada Sanatorium, Yoda observes Hina's daily routine. He then does his report for the day. When he heads back to Hina's room, Yoda reveals that he is permitted to spend an hour with her. However, she rejects him. While they are alone, Shiba tells Yoda that he has to look at Hina in the eye before he can gain her trust. When they meet up again, she tells him that Hina might have lost her memories following the surgery. A despondent Yoda is alone outside when he receives encouraging words from his friends and family. Motivated, he decides to bring a video game so Hina can play it. However, she gets stuck. While Shiba tends to Hina, she reveals that she got in her line of work after her daughter died. Yoda later decides to play the game overnight in order to help Hina. When Shiba discovers Yoda's falsified reports, he is contacted by a security officer. While he is with Hina, Yoda is called out by Shiba and she tells him to leave. He then begs her to allow him to spend one last half-day with Hina. As he talks to Hina, she recognizes and pronounces the names of his family. However, when he shows her his picture, she throws it to the ground. After that, Shiba tells Yoda that his time is up. Just as he is about leave, Hina starts crying and tries to walk towards Yoda, saying she loves him. Yoda takes Hina home and everyone agrees to complete the movie. Yoda decides to become a researcher like Hina's grandfather so he can cure her condition. Afterwards, everyone watches the movie together. At the end of the movie, Hina reveals in a making-of interview that her memories are so beautiful that they will never disappear, and she refers to them as an eternal treasure. Yoda decides that no matter what hardship they face, he will continue to be by Hina's side.